Welcome back to the Introduction series. This is part 1 of Introduction to Tables. If you missed Introduction to Database Design, please visit freeaccesstutorials.com where you can find the video links and you can catch up. Today we're going to be covering naming conventions, creating tables, adding fields, field types, field options, and linking tables. To fully grasp this tutorial, it is expected that you have an understanding of database design. Once again, this is covered in the previous tutorials in this series, so all you have to do is visit freeaccesstutorials.com and you can find the video links. Naming conventions. A naming convention is simply a system that is used to easily identify elements. I personally use a combination of Redic, CamelCase, and a little bit of my own variations. And this is what I will be using during the tutorials, but feel free to make your own naming convention or use mine. It doesn't matter, it's just a way for you to easily identify elements. I'll give you a few examples. For a table, I use a CamelCase, which means the first letter of each word is capitalized. I name the table something that describes the table's purpose. So when I see the table in my database, I already know what information should be kept in that table. For instance, this table, I know that the information about the customer is kept in that table. Now here on the right, I'm also going to give another example so you can get an idea of some of the different naming conventions and you can choose your own. For table fields, I also use a CamelCase and something that's descriptive. Queries, Q underscore CamelCase. Subqueries, SQ underscore CamelCase. Forms, F underscore CamelCase. Subforms, SF underscore CamelCase. Reports, R underscore CamelCase. And subreports, SR underscore and then a CamelCase. Now, when I get into objects of a form or a report, such as a button, I start out with 3 lowercase letters, and those lowercase letters describe the object. For instance, BTN is always going to stand for button for me. And then I'm going to use a CamelCase of something that's descriptive of the purpose of the button. So when you click on this button, you're going to add a customer. Also text boxes. TXT would be the description for the text box, and then last name. So this will be the text box that will capture the last name. So this is the naming convention that I will be using, and we're going to go ahead and get into our tables and start putting in the information. And at the end of Introduction to Database Design, this is what we had. We had all of our tables set up, our primary keys, our foreign keys, our relationships, and so we are ready to put this information into Microsoft Access. So let's go ahead and open up Microsoft Access and get started. Okay, so this is what Microsoft Access 2010 will look like when I first open it up. If you're going to use an earlier version, that's perfectly fine, although some of the things that we do may not be found in the same locations, and the interface does look a little bit different. In this version, 2010, there are several templates that are available. These templates are great for getting ideas on how to input your data, how to design your database, or how to display your data. Now, some of the concepts in the templates are a little bit complicated, so in a different tutorial series we'll go through some of the concepts so you can better understand them and use them to your advantage. Now, in this particular tutorial we're going to create a blank database, and we can do that one of a few ways. We can choose a name here and accept this default file path by clicking Create, or we can choose a name and then select our own file path and then click Create. Or, like I'm going to do, you can just double-click Blank Database, and that'll take you into a blank database. So Microsoft Access automatically creates a table for us. Now, it starts the table in Datasheet view. I would like to move to Design view, and we can do that by right-clicking on this tab, right-clicking on this table, or left-clicking on this button. However you choose, to move to design view, once you select design view, it's going to ask you to save the table. Now the first table I would like to input is the customer table. So I want the table name to be something that when I see the table name inside the database, I already have a general idea of what information should be stored inside that table. So for this particular instance, I'm going to call this customer info. Now when I click OK, we can see that Microsoft Access has a field name that has already been assigned the name of ID and has been assigned a data type of an auto number. If we remember correctly, an auto number is a unique number in which Microsoft Access creates, and we're using that number to tell records apart from one another. Now Microsoft Access has also assigned this to be the primary key, as you can see from this little symbol here and this symbol here. Now some people prefer to keep all of their auto numbers named ID. I prefer to make each auto number have a distinct name so I can tell them apart from one another easier. So for this particular instance, I'm going to add customer to this name ID. So it's going to be the ID of the customer. Now I need to put in the second piece of information. So I'm going to call that the company name. As you can see, I've used a camel case, which means the first letter in each word has been capitalized. Now, to choose a data type, there are several data types available: text, memo, number, date, time, currency, auto number, yes, no, OLE, object, hyperlink, attachment, calculated, and lookup wizard. Now, we're going to go through most of these data types, but we're going to go through them as we come across them. And for this particular instance, we're going to use a text. Now, a text field can store letters, numbers, or special characters. So we can put anything that we need to into the name for this particular instance. Now, we have all the information from our first table, and we have assigned the primary key. So we can exit out of this table, and it's going to ask us to save the table, and we will choose yes. So here's where we are going to stop this particular tutorial, and we will continue with tables in part 2. Thank you for watching this video. Please visit freeaccesstutorials.com for more free videos on Microsoft Access, and you'll also be able to find the next video, which will be Introduction to Tables Part 2, where we will finish putting together the rest of our tables.